Welcome to the third and final video in the Copyright and IP series. In this video, we'll look at a couple of examples of the growing complexity of copyright, intellectual property, and related rights. Examples are not hard to find, and I'm actually finding that it's getting easier and easier to find examples of this kind of complexity all the time. So for example, to find an example for this class, I went to Ottawa Public Library's electronic resources. Didn't have far to look. Right at the top of the list we see Artist Books for Libraries. So what is this service? It's a service that people can use to learn how to create art and music. And for this example, it's helpful to understand that in the process of learning, people upload their own content. So what are the terms and conditions? The Ottawa Public Library cites links to the artist works legal terms of use. And here's one section, one paragraph from section 13, intellectual property and proprietary rights and content on the site or through the service. So section A deals with general copyright information. This copyright policy is incorporated into and is subject to the company terms of use. You, meaning the user, this is a creator who's learning, the artist or a potential future musician. You represent and warrant that you own the copyright posted by you on or through the service or site, and otherwise have the right to grant the license set forth in this section. And two, the posting of your content on or through the service does not violate the privacy rights, publicity rights, copyrights, contract rights, or any other rights of any person. So, in brief, what does this mean? Again, users are posting their own creative works to the service, and Artist Works does not want to be liable if authors post works that they shouldn't. And I'm pretty sure that Ottawa Public Library does not want to be liable for this kind of thing either. So, what are these rights and what are they talking about? So, privacy rights. An example of privacy rights is a photo of a person. When you take a picture of a person, the photographer owns the copyright in the photo, but the person in the photo has some privacy rights. Okay, these aren't absolute. Publicity rights, people have some, albeit limited rights, over how they are presented in public. Again, that comes up a lot in pictures and videos. Contract rights. An example here, a musician who's using the service to learn how to play might post work even though they've signed a contract with someone limiting distribution of that particular work. Any other rights? Well, why would they put that in there? It means that even though they have this long list of types of rights, they're not entirely sure that they've covered off everything. So this is just a general, anything else we didn't think of. And that's just the first section of Section 3. Section 3 also has clauses B to K. Another example is the Public Library of Science. The Public Library of Science is a pioneering open access publisher that is particularly known for their very strong approach to open licensing. If you look at their terms of use, under articles, here's what it says. Articles and accompanying materials published by PLOS, unless otherwise indicated, so I've added the emphasis here, are licensed by the respective authors of such articles for use and distribution by you subject to citation of the original source in accordance with the Creative Commons Attribution or CC BY license. So aside from the dedication of works immediately to the public domain, CC BY is considered to be the most open of the Creative Commons license. It gives very broad distribution rights, very similar to the Open Government license, with only the restriction that you need to attribute. If you read the details, it's a bit more complicated than that, but that's the basics. Okay. So unless otherwise indicated, as we talked about in the second video, there are third-party works. Okay, so if you publish, an author publishes an article in one of the PLOS journals, but they're using, quite often it's an image, a figure, a picture, etc., from another source. They may have permission to publish it, but not necessarily permission to publish it in a way that grants these broad-based rights that you get with Creative Commons. Another thing to point out here is that even though the articles are on the PLOS site, PLOS is not claiming any copyright in the articles per se. They're saying that the authors have copyright and are licensing under the CC BY license. Okay, that's a simple example from PLOS. What about content on the PLOS website other than articles? Well, here the ownership of content, PLOS is very clear that they are retaining copyright in any material other than the articles. They refer also to trademarks and other elements that are appearing on the PLOS site as being protected by California, U.S., and international copyright, trade dress, patent, and trademark laws, international conventions, and other relevant and applicable laws. So almost the opposite of the articles. So the articles attribute us and do whatever. Their own content other than articles, all kinds of rights, don't do anything without asking us. So the trademark and other kinds of materials, similar with the open government license, even though you have a very broad-based reuse, when it comes to things like the logo, it's a no-go. You cannot use the PLOS logo, put it on your website, and kind of impersonate PLOS. So even with this company that has a very broad and very enduring commitment to a more extreme form of openness, there are some things that you just should not do, and they're prepared to take you to court to protect their rights if they need to. When it comes to their technology, so not their text, their words on the website, but they're actually technology such as their APIs, they're very clear that they want they want the proprietary rights. They don't want people to misuse them. So for example, you agree not to make any unauthorized use of the PLOS API or interfere with the functionality or proper working of the PLOS API. If you read through the actual terms of use here, you'll see that PLOS is understandably wanting to protect themselves from such things as hacking or people using their works or their website for spam or that type of thing. So even though they want broad open access with the articles, they want protection for their words that are not the articles, they want strong protection for things like trademark and logo, and don't mess with their technology, and that's for very good reasons. So even with the most broad-based open license, the articles, the CC BY, there's more complexity even in that than people necessarily realize. So once people start actually reusing stuff, they see an article in PLOS and there's this great picture, it's licensed CC BY. You can take that, put into another CC BY article. Legally, no problem with that. But then when someone else wants to reuse this, how do you attribute? So if you take an image and put it into another document that's text, if you're using the image, obviously you need to cite the author X of the image. If you're citing the text, you need to cite the author of the text. If you're citing both, you probably need to cite both. So that's the simpler example in open licensing with just attribution. Add other elements, it gets a little more complicated. So in conclusion, it is complicated, and for information professionals, this is good news because this is an emerging area of growing complexity where there's need for professionals to learn and to explain what we can and can't do, and to provide good advice to the Indu Committee and to Parliament and Senate, etc., to develop good copyright laws that makes things easier for people. It's a single service, or what looks like it's just a simple website, can actually involve multiple copyright owners and several different types of intellectual property. Next, complete the activities for video 3. Then congratulations, you finished the October 16th virtual class. Your next assignment, a briefing paper on a contemporary issue in copyright and intellectual property, is due October 28th in Brightspace and October 30th in class.